invite Zahur to read to us, to tell us a little about his book too, and to read to us from his book.
Thank you so much, Urvashi. After such a wonderful introduction, I'm overwhelmed. And thank you all for being here today. It's a very important day of my life. You all know I'm a police officer, I'm a cop. So as a cop, I'm trained to use a lathi. As a cop, I can do excellent ordering around. As a police officer, I'm also trained to investigate crimes. I can manage a crowd, a large or a small crowd. I could even manage a family of 4 on a pre-6th pay commission salary. But one more attribute, I can also tell stories. And once, it happened several years ago, it's almost 9 years and two kids ago. There was a friend of mine who suggested that I start writing middles for the Tribune. Now middles, as Urvashi told you, is the middle of the edit page. Most of the times it's a humorous piece. Now that I'm a cop and a friend suggested that I start writing humorous pieces, you would assume that isn't humor and police a contradiction in terms? Most people associate a cop with a humorless entity, a brute who wields a stick, a gorilla in uniform, all kinds of things. But certainly not with humor. Well, to tell you the truth, I can only tell you stories which are mostly RPPs. And since I've been a cop for so long, I can only talk about the police. And you'll be surprised. Life in police is not that humorless after all. Let me read a couple of passages from the book so that you're reassured you didn't waste your time and later your money when you buy the book. And I'll sign it for you, I promise that. Let me start with a story that happened a couple of years ago. Well, folks, a person outside the khaki world would see my kind as a humorless, stick-wielding brute. But believe me, every single day in khaki uniform is replete with incidents that are tough on the funny bone. For us policemen, Janmashtami is a major festival. We celebrate it with a lot of fervor, singing bhajans all night long. Lord Krishna was born in a prison, if you remember. Moments after his birth, the guards fell off to sleep and the shackles broke, enabling Vasudev Ji to carry the precious basket containing the Lord to safety across the Yamuna, which was in spate. The rest is history. Bhagwan Krishna delivered the word from the evil Raj of Kans. The men in khaki do not celebrate all jailbreaks, but this was a special one. In the modern world, if someone were to escape from a cop's custody, all that he gets is a suspension order faster than the speed of light and cruel reporters baying for his blood. I'm sure Kans was more merciful towards his guards after the discovery of Krishna's first Leela. One particular Janmashtami, in a district, the range DIG decided to participate in the late evening celebrations in the police lines with the men and their families. Now a DIG is a real bit short. I can see several DIGs sitting in this office gathering. And his visits to our district police lines is a real big event. DIGs never come unannounced. Several days and hundreds of man hours are spent preparing for such visits, which thankfully are very rare. This was a visit without forewarning, and at that late hour, the men were all taken by surprise. Torn between Bhagwan and high-ranking Afsaran, there was confusion for a while. Something had to be done. The line officer, who was the in charge of the police lines, came up with an idea. Amidst loud chanting of bhajans and kirtans and rounds of tea and passing of sweets, a plan of action was hurriedly drawn. True to the age-old tradition of uniformed services, 20 seconds to midnight, the line officer smartly marched up to the worthy DIG. He stopped, clicking his heels, a crisp salute, followed by a loud request. 12 बजने में 15 सेकंड शेष है. कृष्ण भगवान को जन्म लेने की अनुमति प्रदान करें श्रीमान. The worthy DIG was stumped. What followed is not on record. The line officer received a commendation certificate, and life in khaki went on as ever. Now, you would assume that as humorless brutes, we are probably trained to be serious. Most policemen have this notion that we are a bunch of very serious people ordained to do a very serious job, very seriously, called serious policing. But actually, even while we train, there are so many instances which are, well, very, very funny.